Could pop up right around 11 to noon and carry on through about maybe 3 or 4 o'clock. That's really for our easternmost communities. And a look at your 10-day as a whole. Expecting more of a robust rain chance going into Tuesday. Heavier showers and possible storms by that point. We'll get back into the 90s by the end of this week. Beautiful sunshine expected to close out the week just before the weekend. But isolated showers and storms will make their way back into your Saturday and Sunday. So it's best to keep that umbrella on standby.
Well, I hope everyone has a wonderful first week back at school this week. It's going to be exciting, especially for the students and teachers, so they'll enjoy it. And LawCall is next. Y'all have a great rest of your night.
LawCall is provided in the public interest by Timberlake, League & Brooks, which pays an advertising fee to this station.
This is WAAY 31 LawCall.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 LawCall. I'm Sharon Doviet. Tonight it's an Ask Us Anything night, so call in your questions on any legal topic. Maybe you're thinking about things that have been in the news. Maybe you're thinking about tech changes in the law. We're happy to be here and answer any of your questions, from car accidents to medical mistakes. 256-536-0077. Call in and be live with us on the air. You can also text us to that same number. You can also email a legal question any day of the week on any legal subject. Send it to lawcall@waaytv.com. And when we get to a show that's on point, we pull some out. We've got some of your email questions tonight. We've also got Will League from Timberlake, League & Brooks. Good to have you here tonight.
All right, Sharon, excited to be here. Just back from vacation. Kids are starting school this week.
Yeah.
You know,
coming up on the end of summer, so much going on. Back to school, be careful on the roads, traffic, and kids, quite a mix. While we get some of your calls locked in, we've got some video for you tonight. Take a look at this video.
So,
oh, I see him.
So, what you do?
I'm in a hike in Glacier National Park. We get charged by a bull moose.
Back away.
That's my girlfriend filming there. And now you can see the moose right there at the top of the screen.
Yes.
So then I kind of get freaked out. It comes around, and you're going to hear me spray it as it comes close.
Hold this. Keep coming. Keep coming this way.
Like 2,000 pounds.
Nope. Hey, nope. It's going away. It's going away.
Good.
It's going away.
So that's me kind of panicking a little bit.
You bet.
You know, I just read the instructions on the bear spray the night before, thinking I'll never have to use this.
You'll never have to use this.
And it comes around. I always thought I'd be smart and hide. I froze, and then it got within 10 feet of me and started coming my way.
And we'll see him again there.
And so there he goes and chills out.
Look at that.
So, yeah, lucky. I'm glad to avoid it, and never thought I'd be using bear spray. And here we are.
I'm glad you had it.
I know,
could have been a bad day.
That's right. That's right. It was something.
I'd love to see one in person. So we're going to get some of your calls locked in. Let's start off with an email question. We got this email question from Alexandra. Alexandra said, I have sole custody. If my 17-year-old son moves in with his dad and gets in trouble, am I still legally responsible for him? Okay, so if he does something like he has a car accident, this is in your area. If he has a car accident, are you responsible for his car accident?
All right, so you've seen in the news where the guy was charged, or actually sentenced to 15 years in prison for giving his child who was having issues an assault rifle. 15 years in prison. So you can be criminally liable and civilly liable on behalf of your children. However, you have to do something wrong. You have to omit something, fail to do something you have a duty to do. If you are in a position as a parent and recognize a danger, similar, like, for example, you're going to borrow my car, Sharon, or my child's going to borrow my car. If they're intoxicated, they don't have a license, I do something that helps them do this, then I could be liable both civilly and criminally. Same way in Georgia. Child's having issues, have made threats before. You have a duty to not provide them with an assault rifle when they're having issues like that. You can be liable. Yeah. So it depends on what kind of trouble, what did she know, what did the father know. Custody has something to do with it, but if you're a parent, may have joint custody.
Yeah.
It's a father, and he or she does something that, you know, or provide something to the child that he or she should not have, car, gun, things like that, you can be liable.
Okay, but
you have to do something wrong.
What about something like they take out some spray paint and they go spray paint something? You don't know they're doing graffiti. Are you responsible for that, or they pick a fight?
If you didn't have notice of that, right, then it's doubtful you'd be criminally or civilly liable. Okay. If you have notice or you fail to discharge a duty that you have as a parent, you can be liable. And, you know, the tides are changing to where it's more, and you see more and more parents being prosecuted and found civilly liable. But again, you have to have those evidence, that there is either notice or failed to perform some duty that there's a duty to do.
Okay.
Or perform.
We've got caller Larry on the line with a question from Tuscumbia. Hi, Larry. Thanks for being up with us late tonight. What's your question?
Question is, had a car wreck, fell around a four-way stop sign and hit me, totaled my truck. He had no license. Well, his license was suspended. The person that owned the car did not have insurance. She gave me false information to the probate judge to get a car tag. Now then, I've got a total truck and can't find the people who actually owns the car.
Yeah.
Now then, she should be charged criminally for her getting a perjury situation. And now then, I'm without a vehicle, and what can I do about it?
All right, Larry, there used to be, there is a law that you have to have insurance in Alabama. And about 15 years ago, the officers would write a ticket for no insurance. And oftentimes they'll do that now. But at the time, at the scene, they were given false information, so that ticket was not written. Now, you as the victim can file an outside warrant against that particular driver on the criminal side. So on the civil side, you got to get your car fixed, you may have injuries. So let's talk about that for a second. Now, the person didn't have a driver's license. Then the owner of the vehicle allowed a person without a driver's license to drive his or her vehicle. Just like we were talking a minute ago, they provided a dangerous instrument to someone without a license. So the owner may be liable as well. Now, there is no insurance, so you're limited to suing them, making a claim against them directly. Do they have money to pay that if you were to get that verdict? What I would recommend is go to your carrier, have your collision or comprehensive fix your vehicle. Your insurance company then can make a claim against the defendant and the defendant driver, the owner and the driver, and they can get their money back that way. They may not do that, which leaves you making a claim against your own carrier, and your rates could go up. I get that, but that's why you have the coverage. And your insurance company has subrogated to your right to go after the other folks. Now, if there's injuries involved, you can file a claim under your underinsured motorist coverage for each vehicle that you own. So it's not a good scenario. Now, the guy didn't have a license, they didn't have any insurance, so they should have gotten a ticket for that. You may can get the officer to write one, and then the tag or the registration for that vehicle can be suspended until they get insurance. And there used to be a mechanism that would follow along, and that's fallen by the wayside in the last decade. But that's the procedure, and that's what I would do moving forward.
We've got Melinda on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Melinda. Thanks for staying up with us. What's your question tonight? Oh, I think we've lost her. Okay, how about this? We got in a text question. If you come to an intersection and you stop, but you can't see any of the traffic that's coming due to the fact that the right-of-way is so grown up, you can't see the oncoming traffic. If you have an accident, is the county or the state going to have any of the liability because you caused that accident? They didn't keep the median clean.
They can be. There's two sides to that. Number, on the defense side, you cannot pull out where you can't see. If you can't see something because of a bush or this, you don't have the, even if there's a stop sign and you have the right-of-way, you don't have the ability, well, the right-of-way, that's a whole different issue. But you do not have the right to pull out if you can't see, and the other folks have the right-of-way, right? So we've handled cases where trains have come through, where the county or federal land takes care of that property, and let's say there's a blind spot or there's foliage overgrowth. Under those circumstances, if the county, city, or federal entity that owns the land is on notice that that foliage is overgrown and they fail to make it safe, let's say it's a train track, you have no other way to get through there, then they could be liable, under those circumstances as well. We've had several train wreck cases, and it's, car versus train, it never ends well.
Terrible.
It sure doesn't.
So we lost Melinda, but the booth knew what her question was. She was asking, when you rent an apartment, who's responsible for mold? Who's got to take care of that? And what?
All right, you have a warranty of habitability. Okay, so it's got to be, we talked the other day about whether or not they have to provide AC.
Yeah,
or
whether
heat.
you had to have
they
air
do provide
conditioning.
Heat, AC. If it's already in there, they got to keep it up.
Okay.
But again, there should be a habitability warranty for anything that you're renting. So the owner, operator, rentor should be responsible for removal and making it habitable for you and your family, and so they should be responsible for it. There are some leases that discharge that to the rentor, But I'd look at those closely because there's still, inherent duty on the landlord to provide a safe residence for his renters or her renters.
We've got Elizabeth on the line with a question from Stevenson. Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
I wanted to know if you have a will and the lawyer that draws your will up is no longer in business, my son, I'm talking about my son, he has passed away, and do they need to get another lawyer, or what do they need to do to get the will took care of?
Okay, can you find, obviously you can't find the will?
What?
Do you have the will, Elizabeth?
Can you find it?
I don't have it with me yet, but my kids
But you do possess it. You've got it. It's not like the will is lost.
No.
Okay.
They've got it.
Okay, so if you've got the will, another lawyer can probate that will. Okay, so you can take it down, they'll file it with the probate court, and there's 6 months notice to creditors, so they can make claims on the estate and things like that. You don't have to go get a new will. That will should be valid as long as it was executed properly and witnessed properly, and there's specific procedures. When you go in and sign a will, you can't go in by yourself. A big group of people come in, you sign it in front of 2 witnesses, a notary public, and then that certifies that will. It could be self-proving, arguably, but to be official, you can go in and file it with probate court, get notice to creditors, and they'll sort out the estate that way, and you can go to a different attorney, even though your attorney's not practicing anymore. Any attorney can do that, and the important thing is you have the will.
Yeah. We're sorry that you lost your son, though, Elizabeth. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back answering more of your questions. They keep coming in. That's those dings you hear.
Advertising fee to this station.
You're watching WAAY 31 Law Call, the Tennessee Valley's only live legal call-in show for 30 years and counting. Presented by the award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm Timberlake, League & Brooks, featuring the knowledge and experience of attorney Michael Timberlake, attorney Will League, attorney Heath Brooks, attorney William Messervy, attorney Bobby Marsh, and hosted by family law attorney Sharon Doviet. Your rights, your calls, live. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back to 31 Law Call. It's an Ask Us Anything night, so call in your questions, and we've got callers waiting. Mary's on the line with a question from Hazel Green. Hi, Mary. Thanks for staying up with us. What's your question tonight? Hi, Mary. Are you with us? Mary from Hazel Green? Let's try this email question that we got from Addie. Addie had written in, the store had 2 of those yellow cones on the floor saying caution wet floor, but I didn't see it and I fell and I cracked my wrist. I'm 32 years old and I don't have medical insurance, and I'm not sure if I should even talk to a lawyer about this because those warnings were there. But the store was very crowded and I didn't see them, and in any case there shouldn't have been water all over the floor. What do I do at this point?
You know, just let me comment a little about premises liability cases. They're difficult cases to win, and most jurors or most people walking around thinking to themselves, hey, just watch where you're going. Watch where you're going. And I get that. But when you fall and, you know, you trip and fall, it happens in a heartbeat, and it gets serious, especially for the elderly. This man broke his wrist, right?
Yeah.
So it can be serious, and I get it. People want to roll their eyes and whatnot, but when you're inviting people onto your property and you've got a hazard, a spill or something, let's say it's your mama, your grandmama, and she slips, breaks her hip, and that cascades her down to death.
Yes, yes.
So it can be serious. So, you know, we try and talk to juries about the serious nature of some of these things. So in this case, they put up warning signs, and that's great, right? If there's water all over the floor, then they may have to block off the entire area. And the question is, and you want to be reasonable. If the spill happens immediately, you know, do you have 2 minutes? 30 seconds, 10 minutes, what's a reasonable time? And that's really what these cases turn on, is do the store employees have a reasonable amount of time to not only discover it, but then either make it safe or warn everybody, hey, stay out of this area. And those are the factors that will come in to determine. This young man doesn't have health insurance, you got a broken wrist, you have surgery, you're looking at, you know, $20,000 to $30,000 worth of medical bills maybe.
Yeah.
And so that's something you have to shoulder, and as we all know, you know, you're young, you're working, it's hard to pay those medical bills, especially if you don't have insurance. And so I would sit down and talk with a lawyer, see if you have any video, any photographs, can show how long was it a leak, did they know about it for an hour? That's, you know, that's something you may want to look into. If it was 5 minutes and the employee didn't see it, then that may be more of a difficult claim to make. Now, the landowner, the store, they have insurance. Their insurance company, that's why they have insurance. They will come in. It will be you versus, let's say, Kmart, if you will. But really, it's Kmart's insurance company.
Yeah.
And so you're not allowed to bring that up in front of a jury, but there is an insurance company. And really, it's did they have reasonable time to make it safe, and what was a reasonable thing for the employees to do after they were on notice of that spill? Good
deal. We've got Danny on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Danny. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Yes, I purchased a new home 2 years ago, and we have mold in the bathroom. We think that the shower is leaking under the floor. We're not for sure yet, but I was just wondering, would the builder still be liable for that fix for that?
You know,
and the shower is tiled and the bathroom floor is tiled.
Depends on your contract. Do you have a warranty with that specific builder that is past this time, that's still within this range?
I'm not for sure if it's a year contract or 2 year.
Right. So there's an issue. I would first look at that to see if it's under warranty, and yes, they would be responsible for it. Then there's an issue of, was it done in a workmanlike manner if you're making an insurance claim? And a lot of insurance claims deny faulty work. For example, it's a new construction. Let's say they didn't put in the backing, they didn't put in the pan properly, left a crack there. If that's workmanlike manner or poor workmanlike manner, oftentimes that will not be covered. You can still make a claim against your builder, for that, but unless you have a warranty or that those other requirements are met, you may have to go into litigation. But I would start off with getting an inspection to find out, was the pan put in faulty, is the drain, where it is, because you have a duty to mitigate your damages. So if you think there's mold and a leak in there, you have a duty to do what you can to try and find it, stop it, and make it to where it doesn't get any worse, or that will come back on you. Let's say you did file a claim against the builder and you let it sit for 6 months, then whatever damage you allowed to happen will be taken off the tab, even if you win any lawsuit.
Document it before you start digging in there, though, right?
That's right.
Yeah, be sure you can prove even before you start making repairs.
Because you got the burden of proof to show that it was done improperly under their watch, and something you didn't do while you were living in the home last year.
Okay, we got in a text question. Does liability car insurance go with the car or the driver?
Okay, hear that all the time. It goes with the car. Okay, so liability with the car. Now, underinsured motorist coverage is a different animal. that protects you for personal injury, medical bills, things like that, even if you're in someone else's vehicle. Now, the UM on their vehicle will come first, then yours is secondary. So that's why it's so important to have that type of insurance. For example, Sharon, you borrow my car.
Yeah.
You go down, you went down the street and got us a few beers for the show. Thank you. We came back, and let's say you wrecked into somebody.
Okay. I did not.
My insurance, right? My insurance would cover you for whatever happened.
Okay.
And even if you were drunk from all those beers, which we hadn't had any beers, disclaimer. But let's say you were drunk, and then so your wanton conduct, my insurance would still pay for whatever judgment was against you, even if you were drunk, unless my insurance policy had a exclusion for punitive damages. Okay. And those are rare, but every now and then you will have an exclusion. Not that anybody's planning on being negligent or wantonness, which is being reckless and crazy, which leads to punitive damages. And if you have an exclusion, that's a one-way ticket to being bankrupt.
Gotcha.
It sure is.
We've got Judy on the line with a question from Huntsville. Hi, Judy. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Hey, I have a question about a possible medical mistake.
Okay.
My husband was sent to the ER for a possible kidney injury. He was admitted to the hospital. He was over-medicated. They had to Narcan him twice. When he was sent to the ICU, he stayed there for 11 days. On the 12th day, he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
His death was ruled pneumonia because of COPD, acute kidney injury, and natural causes. But all his paperwork says no pneumonia upon admittance. Could this be ruled as a medical mistake?
Okay, so
first off, we're so sorry.
Yes, I'm so sorry about your husband, Judy. First you want to get the medical records and have them evaluated, but we would have to show that through expert testimony that whatever medications were administered to your husband, that was the proximate cause of his death. And given the comorbidities, you mentioned COPD, the death certificate says natural causes, acute kidney issue, those things would be attributed to his death in accordance with the death certificate. Let's say a doctor came in and disagreed with that and said, no, it was the over-medication when he was in that hospital that caused his system to be depressed, therefore he expired or perished. Those facts would have to come into play, and that would be in the form of expert testimony to come in, a similarly situated physician, and say, look, this doctor prescribed medicine A, B, and C, that killed him, as opposed to these other comorbidities. I'll tell you, those are difficult cases, but those are, in short, those are the factors to consider when you're looking at a medical malpractice case. I'll tell you, the comorbidities really throw a kink into them sometimes. And if that tipped it over, was it the sole proximate cause? And then is it malpractice? And you'd have to, first get through a judge or summary judgment motion and then ask a jury. And so there are many questions, in that. But I'm so sorry about your husband. But first get those medical records and have them reviewed.
Narcan twice. That doesn't sound good.
It does not.
We've got Christina on the line with a question from Franklin. Hi, Christina. Thanks for calling. What's your question tonight?
Hi. I was wondering is it mandatory for community corrections to call DHR if a client fails a drug test?
Is it mandatory for community corrections to contact DHR if a client?
Oh man, I don't know. I would say it is
mandatory. I don't know.
Because DHR is supposed to investigate that stuff, and so let's say
if you're assuming there's a child in their care. But does community correction know there's a child in their care? Would they know that there's another parent out there to take care of the child? I don't know.
We'll find
it's a very
out.
good question.
We'll get your number. We'll find out.
Okay.
We'll find out. But if I'm having to come up with an answer right now, I would say they have a duty to investigate, and if they have noticed that there's a dirty screen, then they have to provide the authorities DHR, and they open up a case from there.
We got this text question in. Busy night. I have a question. My ex-husband died about a month ago, and I'm the beneficiary of his bank account, and I'm having trouble getting a copy of his death certificate. What do I need to do?
Okay. If you guys were joint account, great, no big deal. That's fine. It goes to you right there. If you cannot, what can you not find?
The death certificate.
Okay. So
may take a little while for that to come in, right?
So but if he does not have a will, They will provide a death certificate, usually, 2 to 4 weeks, sometimes longer, depending on what state he perished in. And then if he had a will, you'd have that probated. If you just probated, if he does not have a will, it'd be intestate succession, and you would have to set up an estate, go to a probate attorney, and then they'll petition the court, have a personal representative appointed, and then you can sort out the bank accounts that way.
Okay. We're going to take a break. Be right back.
Mom's.
Brooks, which pays an advertising fee to this station.
If you didn't get your questions answered tonight, here's how to get in touch with Will League with Timberlake League and Brooks in Huntsville, 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. They do everything from medical mistakes to car accidents. Also check out www.law-injury.com.
All right, now very own Sharon Doviet, family law attorney, 539-7337, SharonFamilyLaw.com, child custody, divorce. Tough stuff, Sharon.
It
Tough
is.
stuff. 30 years of law call. Here we are.
Live on the air. And so many callers and so many texts. That's wonderful.
Thank you guys for
Bye-bye.
calling. Makes for a great show. Thank you so much.
We'll see you next week.